Good evening. So the title of tonight's show is kind of partially in jest. However, I do see some truth behind it, to be honest. Um, but I just thought that I have seen lately an interesting trend, if you will. I don't know what else to call it. In the prepping world, especially the YouTube prepping world. And I say it with a little bit of a laugh, and it's because what am I supposed to do? Um, am I supposed to ignore that it's happening? No, absolutely not. So let's talk about it a little bit, and let's talk about why I say that, and again, it's mostly in jest, but there is a little bit of truth behind it, and I want to explain what I mean by that. So there are a lot of channels now, and it's not just prepping channels. There's prepping channels, there's gun channels, there's you name it, all kinds of channels right now. And now that the rubber's hit the road, so to speak, there's all of a sudden a lot of hesitancy and change of hearts and a lot of backtracking and I get it. People are spooked. A while back, and I think it was I looked it up earlier. I think it was June 9th. One second. Yeah, June 9th, I did a video, just a short, one of the YouTube shorts, and it was titled, Where Are Your Prepping Leaders on the SHTF Learning Curve? It was a question that I really felt like needed asked because I saw a lot of these quote-unquote leaders on YouTube that were completely misdirecting the people that were watching them, and many of these are very popular channels. And it's concerning. It's concerning. Let me tell you a little bit about what I'm observing lately. There's a lot of backing up. There's a lot of bargaining. A lot of bargaining going on. And if you understand psychologically what I mean by that, maybe you'll see it as well. But now that the rubber's met the road, so to speak, and now that we're in a situation to where we have to put up or shut up, now they want to bargain. Oh, well, it can be done this way. It can be done that way. And, oh yeah? Oh, yeah? Some of them self-proclaim to be knowledgeable about history. Okay. Show me once in history where the whole peaceful revolution really worked. Nah, really worked. Really worked. Not installed a puppet government. Let me say that again. Really worked. You can't. You can't. Because every single time that has appeared to have happened, it's been a puppet government that's been installed, and it never lasts. Never lasts. Don't have to be a history teacher to know about that. But this is a difference that I think I see in different regions of the country. The Midwest, let me tell you a little bit about Midwestern folks. And I know I'm stereotyping and all that good stuff. Stereotyping, sorry. But a lot of your Midwestern people are a bit more humble, especially than the Eastern Coast people. A lot of your Midwestern people are a lot more humble. A lot of them will know a lot more than they say. And many of them mean what they say. Can you see a stark contrast there towards how individuals might be on, say, the East Coast? almost opposites, as a matter of fact. Let me give you another example of this learning curve and failure, and so people maybe follow me a little better. This one guy just came out with video, I think it was today, and he's sitting on his rooftop, and he's got a power bank there, a solar generator, if you will, and he's got like 4 solar panels set up on the roof, wondering why this unit, this incredibly awesome unit, is taking so long to charge. Wait a minute. I would bet you any amount of money, and I don't know for sure, I haven't looked. I would bet you that if you search through the videos of this particular channel, you will find review videos telling you about these items and recommending them to you without even knowing what their capabilities were, whether they really did work well, what you could expect. That's why I came out with the whole pardon me, the Go Power, I think it's Go Power. Yeah, the Go Power Plus. That's why I came out with all those Go Power Plus videos, because that very reason. There were a lot of individuals out there that were misleading folks on solar energy and making folks think that it was more than what it was. And I'm not knocking solar energy at all. I support it, especially for the individual. Not so much for a big nationally tied grid, but at least not at this particular moment. But for the individual, absolutely. I couldn't recommend it anymore. And I don't know what to tell folks. I don't know what to tell folks. Be very, very leery of where you're getting your information, your recommendations, your leadership from, because you don't want a leader that's going to turn around and start making deals because they get spooked. You don't want that. You don't want a leader that's going to turn around and turn tail on you and leave you to whatever may be the case because they're too weak. They don't have a strong enough foundation to be able to truly stand and be a leader. At the same time, you don't want to put your family in a position to where their lives rely on information given to you by people that are just trying to make money on the internet and don't truly care about your well-being. It's time we take all of this serious. It's time we quit playing games with it. It's time that we stop looking at prepping and information as merely a profit-making industry, because it was absolutely that. It has on and off throughout time. It's been a profitable industry, but especially since COVID, it's been a really profitable industry. But see, a couple of things happened there, right? You had COVID that slowed everything down, and then you had a bunch of people that had extra time on their hands, so they either A, became content creators, or B, became content watchers, viewers. Okay? And so just even when it came to the YouTube world, prepping exploded since this whole COVID thing started. And not just YouTube, but all areas of prepping. I would hate to know, and when I say hate to know, it's just a figure of speech, but I'm actually curious, the increase in sales for, say, something like Harvest Right freeze dryers. I bet you that the demand for those went absolutely through the roof. I know for a fact that freeze-dried food went through the roof, and the companies providing it couldn't keep it in stock. And that was for a period of time. I know that for a fact. Back to my point a little more. Be careful. You know, there's something, and I'm not from Missouri, I'm from Illinois, but Missourians, a lot of them say, well, we're from the show me state. And the reason why they say that is because they want to see it. They don't, they're not going to believe it until they see it. That's why they call it the show me state. That's a lot of the Midwest in a nutshell. We're kind of leery. We're kind of watchful. We don't bullshit easily. Many of us don't have much use for the boisterous, pompous, know-it-all attitude, because most of us are pretty humble, quiet people. And it is what it is. We don't learn things, we don't know things so that we can walk around with our chest out. We know things and we learn things so that we can take care of them. It's I think a different kind of lifestyle. And I think in some places on the West Coast you have much the same thing as what you do like on the East Coast, except it's, and don't take this the wrong way, but twist it a little differently. Or maybe take it the wrong way, I don't care. But it's different. But it's still that up front. And by the way, this is all stereotyping. So when I say this, I'm not talking about every single individual. No. But you have to understand there are absolutely trends in different regions of the country. And there's no denying that. There's absolutely no denying that. Anyway, be real careful. Because like I say, I'm starting to see, and there's a lot of channels that I'm starting to see, and that's just on YouTube. I've also seen a lot of interesting changes through, say, like alternative news, and not just on YouTube, but even in, I'm going to say print, but I mean on websites. There's been a lot, and a lot of backing down. And I'm just being honest with you. A lot of backing down. I've seen more of that than anything. So, get prepared. For those that plan, and I mean truly plan to stand firm, it's going to be a rough road. One other thing that I want to address is this bargaining thing. A lot of people think that, maybe we can fix it. And not a lot of people, but some people think, well, maybe we can fix it. If we do this, we don't have to go down this road. We could go about it a different way. We can, oh yeah? Well, if you claim to follow the Father, shame on you. Because you're not trusting His Word. Because His Word, not mine, not yours, His Word is that this won't be stopped. And that this is a process, and that we are going to go through it. And that we just have to make sure that we're focused on us and our camp. But there is nothing in there about us stopping it. Nowhere. And I would highly recommend, instead of bargaining, because, SHTF is a little more scary than we thought it would be. Maybe you should just embrace it, accept it, which is huge. And try to deal with it from a more human approach. I think some people were trying to set out to be superhumans in all of this, and There ain't no superhumans among us. There's not. There's just humans. And we shouldn't discount any one set of humans over the other set of humans because of this or that or the other thing. You know, I see a lot of videos from prepping channels coming out talking about fitness. And rightfully so. I'm not going to knock that. But what I'm going to say is that those people that, for whatever reason, are not physically fit, that isn't an automatic death sentence. I've said this before on this show. You know, if the big SHTF happens and we go out to the bug out location, if I'm in a position to where I have to fight, we're screwed anyway. We're screwed anyway. Because that's not my job. And I really can't get into it more than that. But if we're in a position to where I actually have to take up defense, we're already over. Well over. So, and you know, not everybody's role is to be the warrior. You know, you need all kinds of stuff. You need people to wash clothes. You need people to teach. You need people to, you know, hunt and gather and forage and, you know, seriously. You got to have people that do all kinds of things. Not everybody is meant to be the warrior that needs to be able to ruck 50 miles in 5 seconds. It's not the case. At the same time, if it's possible, try to up your physical fitness. You know, don't let laziness be an excuse. You know, there are some people that have things stopping them and other people that just have excuses stopping them. Don't let that be an issue. I'll tell you what, I wished I could do push-ups and all the crazy stuff, but I can't. If I would get down there and do 10 push-ups, I would have to sit there for 5 minutes and recover. Not going to be able to work out very well that way. I can physically do it. That's not the problem. The 10 push-ups, that's not the problem. The problem is the COPD and me not being able to breathe afterwards. So I haven't figured out what I can do. If anybody knows, drop it in the comments. I would love to know. I would love to know what I could do to help myself out physically, especially cardiovascular, to where it wouldn't make me so far out of breath that, you know, I can't function. Anyway, have a sip of coffee. None of this from tonight was meant to discourage anybody. As I've said from day one, my intent is to encourage and empower. I cannot do that unless I show you what's wrong. And if it's so offensive that I show you what's wrong, then we won't ever get anywhere. You see how that works? Again, all I want to do is I want people to walk away understanding that A, nobody's going to be there to save them, especially the people like me, for instance. Those of us on YouTube. Those people on other websites that you may frequent, those people on TV shows or whatever, they are not going to be there to save you. They're not. I am realistic enough to understand that. And instead of coming at this with the approach that I know it all, I'm going to come at it with the approach of, okay, I'm going to show you what I know. But I'm actually going to come from a place of knowledge. Right? Picking on the solar thing again. This is stuff I've messed with, and electronics, I've messed with it all my life. You know, it's not something that I had some company send me a box and, you know, or I paid for it either way, and all of a sudden I'm some expert on solar energy production and power inversion. I've been doing this stuff for a long time. I had electronics kits, and I'm talking spare electronics parts. I'm talking about like plain old type of fishing tackle boxes filled with resistors and capacitors and all that stuff when I was in junior high. Because I was a geek. It is what it is. Which reminds me, that's the other thing. For all the Rambo types out there, this battle isn't going to be efficiently fought with AR-15s and bulletproof vests. The battle that we're walking into, the best tool to fight it with, is very likely going to be a computer. Let me say that again. The best tool to fight what we're heading into is going to be a computer. It's not going to be Rambo types. They're going to be saving your ass. It's going to be nerdy types. Trust me on that. You don't have to. But I know a thing or two. And nothing that has been going on for near the last 2 years, and obviously longer, but has been conventional, has it? Has it been conventional? Not even remotely. You think it's going to be conventional? You think it's going to become more conventional, or do you think it's going to get more different? It's going to get much more different. Just as right now we're fighting largely an information war, a lot of the hardware that will be employed later on down the road is going to be remote controlled. Now, the latest specs of their new toy, I think, flies around between 18 and 22,000 feet. And if you think you're going to take one of those out with your AR-15, I have doubts. And if you understood the data that hardware can collect, scooting by at 18,000 feet in the air, might pop that little bubble in your chest. It's not a game. I've been kind of like saying that now for the last, week or two? Not a game. I wish that I could just tell you everything I know. But I can't, because I put myself at risk when I do that. I already put myself at risk. I'm not trying to play that victim role. Oh, I'm a YouTube creator. I put myself at risk. Oh, pity me. No. No, but I mean, common sense is common sense. I am out here putting myself out there, which does add additional risks. Even making it known in your local community that you're into preparedness does add an extra risk level to your operation. So, and we should all know that. But this is really real. And we're not going to bargain it away. We're not going to... We're going to go through it. It's going to run its course. We can't stop it. The only thing that we can do is prepare the best we can and embrace it. And when I say the word embrace, I'm not saying we got to like it, we got to love it, but we do have to deal with it. And we can either deal with it with a positive attitude and do our very, very best down to the last breath, or we can cry and bitch and moan the entire time. I guarantee the former is a hell of a lot more productive, and everybody else around you will appreciate it a lot more. We got a lot coming down the pipe. We haven't even touched it yet. We haven't even started yet. I know, it sounds crazy, right? We haven't started yet. Not yet. We're getting there. And for a lot of individuals, now their SHTFs absolutely have started. You know, there's a lot of individuals that are dealing with loss of employment right now because of the mandates going down and all of that. Absolutely dealing with SHTFs on a more personal level. But I mean as a nation and as a world, because we're all going through this at the same time. Most all the nations are going through this at the same time. We got hard times coming, and I fail to see anywhere in that good book to where it says we turn it around. There's really anything, I'm going to get to headlines because we got quite a few. We got from Friday till today I'll be doing. You know, a couple things to take from tonight is be sure that you know as much as you need to know to take care of yourself and your loved ones. Don't just watch a bunch of YouTube videos, including mine, and think that you know enough to be able to say use a piece of equipment enough to be able to be successful. Don't do it. Get out there and actually use it. Had that content creator went out there and actually used that equipment before shooting any prior videos to it, he'd have known. There would have been no surprise about anything whatsoever. And I don't know if he reviewed it or not, but I'm willing to bet money he did. He would have probably had a starkly different review if he were honest about the review, because some aren't. I had to laugh at a channel today that I watched that they made a video and they referred to another video, another content creator, and about how they're always thumb up and everything that they review, and it's true, they do. There's not a single product that they review that they haven't thumbed up, and it's just one of the commercial prepper channels, an older channel, but it was humorous. But I want you to understand that you're responsible, and that's a very, very serious position to be in. Know about your equipment. Know about your gear. Find out what you need to know about it, right? Don't just find out which is the best, power up, portable power supply to buy. Learn about the device. Learn why it's best. Learn what sets it apart. Because the more you learn the things like that, the more you're going to understand that device itself. And that's immensely important. I don't know why old boy's box wouldn't charge him worth a damn. I have no idea. I don't know if he didn't have his panels angled directly into the sun correctly. He thought maybe a little bit of a shadow was causing a big problem. No, it was that wasn't it. But I don't know whether he didn't have them angled directly. I don't know if they're just crap panels. I'm not a huge fan of that particular brand for many reasons, and one of them being that I think that brand doesn't have a really, really great charge rate. I could be wrong. I think that's one of them that has the slower charge rates. But the panels may be crap panels. I mean, all panels are not created equal, right? I am a firm supporter. If you want a foldable, portable panel, Rock Pals is the way to go. Because from all my indications and tests, they actually outproduce their specs. And that is something you rarely ever see in the solar industry. But Rock Pals do a really good job. If you're looking for a portable panel, they've got 60 watts, 100 watts. If you're not needing a portable panel, you go get the Renogy panels from Amazon for they're roughly about $100 a piece for 100-watt panels. Right? You can't go wrong. They're pretty decent panels. They're not very, very top shelf panels, but they're decent panels. They're well worth the price. This is what frustrates me about these channels that get out there, and their focus is making a buck or gaining more subscribers. So they get out there and they talk about items, they talk about different devices that they really know nothing about. And the saddest part, because hey, what they do to themselves and their own, that's on them. But the sad part is the people that follow them. People will go out, and I've mentioned this as of late a few times, people will go out and buy the very things they see some of these content creators have because, well, they've got them, so that means that it must be the end-all, be-all that's going to save my life. And then when push comes to shove, they find out that ain't the case. That could be medical equipment that somebody's needing to rely on. And if you mislead them into thinking that what they have is going to be enough, and that battery bank runs out in the middle of the night, who's that on? I don't ever want that to be on me. This is serious stuff. And that's why I don't play games with it. And I wish some of these content creators would just go. Or something. Because they're not in it for the right reasons. They're not in it to help you. Anyway, let's do some headlines. Let me have a couple vapes. It's been a, I actually didn't do anything. I did do super productive things this weekend, but at the same time, in reality, they weren't very productive. But I did get a lot productive done in the flight sim world. Told you. I actually got my own aircraft. And when I say my own aircraft, it's not my aircraft. But Sim Game It is how we started out is Flight Simulator. And we started modding aircraft for the flight sim. And so when this new flight simulator came out, It has a different file system to it than the previous one, and it's done a little bit differently. And you can't get anything wrong when you're modifying and you're working with these files. If you get one little thing wrong, the whole thing won't. In many cases, it won't show up in the in your list, in your airplane list. Other times, things just won't work right. Things won't function right. So you kind of have to know what you're doing. Well, I'm learning this new system, and it's a lot of trial and error at this point. But I finally, successfully have been able to get my own version of an aircraft, my own modification of an aircraft to show up in the list of aircraft, right, alongside of the original aircraft. Now, all I have to do is do what they call alias, because I have to figure out how to alias, because I can't use any of the original aircraft files inside of my modded aircraft if I want to post this aircraft up on the internet for people to download, because it's a payware plane, and so I can't put any of the payware planes files in there. But see, there's ways you can alias so you don't have to do that. It's just a redirection, so to speak, to the payware. So in other words, if somebody wants to fly my modified version of it, well, they got to have the payware version of it first and then install my modified version, and then they'll have both in their airplane list. I know you're probably bored. But anyway, so I was able to do that, and here's the awesome part. I've got the aircraft about, I'm going to say 65% modded. Okay, I've got the engines kicking ass, which is where I start. This thing will do, it's the MB339, and it'll do over, it'll do almost 800 knots. It'll do over Mach 1. So yeah, it's a lot of fun for an aircraft that normally go, I don't know, around 450 knots, something like that. You know, somewhere around that. Yeah. A lot of fun. It's not intended to be realistic. The sim game at aircraft were never intended to be realistic in flight. They're intended to go out and have a bunch of fun. You can reach 750 knots roughly. Like if you're taking off from JFK, I can take off from the runway and reach 750 knots before I'm done crossing the end of the runway. It's just a lot of fun. That's all it's intended to be. Let's see. Hang on. Oh, really? You're not going to believe this, but I actually just ran into that channel. When I say ran into it, just ran into it on YouTube, like in suggested videos, and started watching a couple of his videos. Now that I know that, I didn't know that. I'm gonna have to. Right now. I'm going to sub the channel, like right this moment. Yeah, I recently watched a couple of his videos. Just because I love that kind of stuff. Yep, one of them I watched was The Most Stressful Landing of 2020. That was one of them that I watched. I think I watched that today, as a matter of fact, this morning. I think I did. Hang on. Yep, watched it today. Oh, man. But yeah, I enjoy flying crazy aircraft, and I enjoy flying realistic aircraft as well. So I like it both ways. It just depends on the mood I'm in. Sometimes I just want to get in a plane and be stupid, and other times I want in there and I want a realistic flight experience, because I like planes that keep me busy. That they're a handful. Old warplanes like, for instance, Spitfire, airplanes like that, the Corsairs. Man, they kept you busy flying them. They were incredible birds to fly, but you better know what you're doing, or you're gonna get in trouble quick. And they're a handful, and I enjoy flying that sometimes. I just enjoy the challenge. So to me, that's kind of the whole point. And even when I'm flying the unrealistic planes, at this, even I'm flying those, it's still, I'm doing it for a challenge, right? Because many times I'm going to take those planes in, and I'm going to land those places that you would never ever dream to land a jet, especially like a fighter jet. And all I'm doing is increasing the thrust of the engines enough that that essentially you can come in at a very high angle of attack and use the thrust of your engines to be able to maintain your altitude and fly at lower speeds and just kind of mush in and kind of do a stall landing essentially with a fighter jet. But not quite to that extreme, I mean, you're not talking about coming in and mushing in at 28, 30 knots, but 60 to 70 knots I can mush in and set down at. That ain't bad. So anyway, sorry, plain geek. Let's do some headlines. By the way, we've got, I didn't even show these. We got LED strip lights that we're using right now. I can change them, got their little remote control. I can make them yellow, green. I can actually make them all if I use the app, which I don't even have installed, I can make them all kinds of colors, but I'm really not interested in that. I can make it do all kinds of stupid stuff too, but not interested in that either. So probably need to get another set of them. One set for down here, and then I'd like to put up another set up above. So, but not bad. They're just cheap ones. Anyway, back to the headlines. Alright, starting out with, and I only have backed up until today's headlines. Yeah, I could, you know what, I'm just going to do that. I'm not going to go all the way back to Friday. I'm just going to cover the last, just today's headlines. So, a lot of stuff went on, I'll tell you that much. A lot of stuff went on. Crazy. And then this, looks like this red flag law business is going to get shoved through the NDAA, if I understand correctly. Of all things, the NDAA. You know why they do that, right? Because anybody that votes against that NDAA will be crucified. They'll be absolutely crucified by a bipartisan committee of people, and I say that committee, not an official committee, of warmongers that are, oh my gosh, you don't believe in the defense of this country. You want this. Oh yeah? So, in order to better defend this nation from outside threats, which is what it's supposed to be about, we have to be able to easily disarm American people. How's that work? Folks, there is no fixing this. It's going to run its course. And we need to accept that. We need to accept all that it entails. It's not fun. Not a game. And I would highly recommend that if you don't have to be involved in the fight, don't. On the same note, if you feel that it is your calling to do whatever it takes to make sure that this country, this landmass, doesn't become something dystopian. Sorry, trying to think of a proper word. And so be it. We just need to remember that all of our decisions have consequences. And we might want to think about what those consequences are before we make those decisions. Not going to be a joyride. Not going to be fun. But it can be manageable. Anyway, headlines. I did a report on this morning. Activists chanting USA and F Joe Biden storm vaccinated-only food court in Staten Island, New York, in protest against mandates. One sec. All right. Tanks, fighter jets spotted near Kosovo border as tensions flare between Serbia and breakaway region. Germans vote in historic election with Angela Merkel set to step down after 16 years in power. Russia to commission 15 new nuclear power units by 2035, Rosatom says. U.S. didn't want to face the truth that it's no longer the global hegemon, Russian spy chief tells RT after Afghanistan debacle. 14 Mexican army soldiers briefly detained after accidentally crossing into the U.S., one of them busted with marijuana, says Border Patrol. Well, I can't believe that you would... How dare you have... the devil's lettuce. Sheesh. Really? Did that even really need to be reported? Did anybody really need to even care? Let's see. UK Transport Minister adds fuel to the fire by saying there will be no petrol shortage if Brits just stop queuing at petrol stations. I've put out a report this morning on that as well. Swiss voters approved same-sex marriage in a poll projection. Food spending in Asian countries to double by 2030, says a report. Also did an article on this. Aussie PM offers lockdown frustrated, not article, but video, lockdown frustrated people gift of getting their lives back, but with QR codes and other measures in place. UK Labour leader says it's not right to claim only women have cervixes. Okay. We'll just scroll on because I don't even know how to go there. Plenty more subs in the sea. AUKUS nuclear deal could end up pushing Russia and China closer together but dividing Europe. Why does this keep jumping on me? The browser. Let's see. Iceland's ruling coalition retains power as women win majority of seats in parliament for the first time in European history. China to plunge into power crunch as looming Evergrande default sends shockwaves through financial sector, says the media. CIA was ready, this is crazy, CIA was ready to wage gun battle in London streets against Russian operatives to kill or snatch Assange, a bombshell report claims. Yeah. Just absolutely mind-blowing. Arctic oil and gas production reportedly booming despite climate concerns. By the way, if you recall, there was a time period to where I think they were going to be moving him from one location to another or something like that. And they came out and even said, meaning WikiLeaks essentially, that they were going to attempt to assassinate him. They knew it. I don't know where they got their information from or whatever, but they knew about this. Arctic oil and gas production reported booming despite climate concerns. German election, Laschet's CDU, CSU, and Scholz SPD parties tied with 25% in Bundestag vote, says an exit poll. And I know Bundestag, I have no idea how to pronounce any of that. Americans horrified by report that CIA under Trump discussed assassinating Julian Assange. I'm not shocked. It's how they operate. Lindsey Graham wants Trump to run in 2024 days after former president blasts him and strongly hints at a comeback. DHS head admits 12,000 or more Haitian migrants from Del Rio released back into the U.S. Lovely. Let's see. Serbia's president blasts world's thunderous silence over occupation of northern Kosovo as tensions in breakaway regions soar. You know what this is, right? 12,000 or more Democrat voters. Majority Catholic San Marino decriminalizes abortion. Over 77% vote to abolish 1865 law in historic referendum. And that's it. Wasn't a super lot of headlines today. There was quite a few on Friday and Saturday. I just didn't really feel like going through all of those. It's the first day of the week for us, so gotta ease back onto it. Don't want to crack anything. I mean, it's, you know. Gotta let the old engine warm up a little bit, otherwise we might break a ring or something. Spin a bearing. I've already spun my bearings. But I haven't seized a ring yet, so it feels a little catchy, but another week in paradise. Just do what you can, folks. But don't let anybody bullshit you. And be mindful of those you get your information from. Because a lot of them are just out there for their own personal reasons. They're not really out there to teach you anything or empower you or anything like that. And I can only imagine how many people think that they have what they need or think they know the capabilities of something. And then when their family depends on it, they're going to find out not what they thought. And that concerns me. And the only thing I know to do is to call it out. Because we're really starting to bump up hard against that end of time thing. And when I say end of time, I don't mean end of time period, but I mean end of time to be able to get prepared. A window of opportunity, if you will. It's slamming shut pretty damn quickly. We need to make sure that the ducks that we think we have in a row are truly in a row. Anyway, I'm going to get out of here. God willing, we'll be back tomorrow night, 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. Do it all again. Do your best to have a good evening, and keep informed. This stuff is changing very, very rapidly. Anyway, hope to see you tomorrow. As always, God bless you. We love you. Be one with your spirit. And shalom.